Welcome to the Waves of Change podcast, where we aim to inspire the listener to awaken to their purpose and take the action required to live life on their own terms. My name is Darragh, confidence and mindset coach, speaker, entrepreneur and humanitarian. I will be sitting down with creators from all walks of life who grew through the waves of change in their lives to be making the impact in the world they are today. Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has. Yeah, it's been a little while, man. What's been shaking?
Everything. But
look at the world's been shaken.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're properly learning to surf. I am, anyways. And because I'm just going to get straight into it again, all action. So, Joel, welcome to the Waves of Change. I will get the introduction on the back end. So if you want to do a quick introduction of yourself, where you came from, where you come from, where you grew up, a little bit about your story.
Yeah, awesome, brother. Well, I'm a man of the earth, bro. I grew up in Perth, Western Australia, but I've traveled almost a third of the world so far. So the world is for now is my home. As they say, and for me,
yes.
I really follow the spark, wherever God wants me to be in service. It could be anywhere, man. It could be speaking on stages. It could be coaching one-on-one. It could be breakthrough events, workshops, retreats. It could be shooting content and sharing that with the world, and for me, I think that I've spent many years really learning what it means to remove the mask, and I'm still going. We're never fully there, right?
Yeah.
And I've taken a big step back from a lot of what I used to do to build business, and just all the likes and the followers and the glitz and the glamour and all the other stuff, man. Ultimately, what do we want to do while we're here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to feel like our life has meaning. We want to feel like we're connected to something greater than ourselves. And I could talk about all the achievements and the accolades and everything else, and that's fun. I get to celebrate that, and you get to celebrate yours too. But ultimately, I look at it like, am I really doing what I'm here to do? And God plucked me out of the infinite and put me into this finite time that we're in. My greatest fear is standing before God one day and he says, Joe, I gave you this much, but you only did this, with the two fingers together like this little bit of the potential you tapped into. So yeah, that's what I do, man. Wherever my heart and passion and soul and spirit and God guides me into, bro, I'm there, man. And I built obviously a big online movement and empire, Addicted to Success, about self-development. We position it as one of the top personal development websites online over the last 13 years. That was fun. Right now with this whole, pandemic that's going on, this crazy agenda limits us from doing our live events, our workshops, our retreats. So we're doing a lot of, online summits and masterclasses and online masterminds. And I'm coaching and teaching coaches how to get results with their clients, actually how to facilitate transformation, and then how to build their coaching business so it becomes a career of impact. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. That's where I'm now.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like, as you say, this little minuscule thing that can you put it into perspective? You worked on you put one of the greatest books of all time, most impactful books of all time, into documentary movie format. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, that was a fun project, man. I had the awesome opportunity to feature in a couple other documentaries before it, and I had the team of Think and Grow Rich reach out to me, and one of the guys was scouting, and he was looking for investors, and he asked me if I'd be interested in being involved in investing in the film. And because he had heard I'd been a part of some other documentaries, one called We Rise Up with Richard Branson, Dalai Lama, Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins. Yeah, it's a powerful documentary. And another one called The Age of the Entrepreneur with T. Harv Eker and Les Brown, a couple others. So I looked at this like, hey, well, the thing is, I've experienced this book in a personal way. It's not, to just invest in it would be going halfway there. And I asked him, have you heard my story? And do you know about my vision, what I've been fulfilling and where we're going? And so I shared both with him, and he was blown away. I told him about how I used to listen to Think and Grow Rich when I was in the deserts of Western Australia, working in an environmental team, catching snakes and lizards and kangaroos and all sorts of things out there, working this crazy job, dude, like 28 days straight with only a few days off. In Celsius, it was like something like 48 degrees. I don't know what that is in America. Maybe it's like 120 degrees Fahrenheit or something. Like, it's hot, man.
Something insane.
And
anyway.
that was my experience. And I just, it was a bit of a negative environment at times, felt like a bit of a prison doing, work shifts like that. But I just kept filling my mind with self-development, kept immersing myself in it. And it was really my lifesaver to know that there was hope, right? There was something bigger than what I was actually living in, that I could actually make the money in the job that I didn't necessarily like, and then invested in the dreams that I was passionate about. And I think this is really a great testimony for anybody that's in a place like that right now. Like, what do I do with what I have? Like, where could I go with what I have? And it was a big thing for me. So anyway, I shared all of that. He's like, man, I really love this. So he got the producer on the phone, and the director got involved, and they said to me, Joel, come out to, I was in LA at the time. They're like, come down to San Diego, let's film this. And I jumped in, and I definitely, like, I prayed on it before. I was like, God, move through me, to share the message that needs to be here. And I just felt in so much flow in that project. And I supported them in, marketing some of it and getting behind the events and everything. It was really cool. But I think the greatest thing about it all is that these principles are still alive today. It was written decades and decades and decades ago.
It's almost
and
100
people can
years,
still apply
isn't it?
it today.
Or more than 100 years,
I think it may be over,
yeah. And just as well, before we go on, Joel, I've actually got goosebumps because you answered my question before I got a chance to ask it. I was, what was the pivotal moment in that transition from 48 degrees in the desert doing the job that you didn't love? And this is the purpose of the podcast. How can you be with the waves of change in your life instead of fear and change, but embracing it and riding that wave? So what was the pivotal moment and the switch? You knew there was more. When did you make the switch?
Yeah, well, I had casted a 10-year vision for my business, for my success, and so on, before I went and worked up north in the deserts. Me working up north in the desert was me biting the bullet and taking a really big swing. I knew financially I had to step my game up. I was making maybe like 60K a year in a sales job in the city, but I took on a job that was not necessarily comfortable. It was very uncomfortable, but it was paying 120 grand a year. So I was like, all right, if I double my income, it means I can double the investments I can put in, double the budget of starting this business and building out A2S. And so, I had that plan, and I guess the deal that I cut with myself was that once I made 70% from this passion that I had with building out Addicted to Success to bring self-development to millions of people worldwide, hundreds of millions. We're at 346 million views now.
Wow.
Then what I would do is I would put ads on the site and make money from advertising, and I do affiliate deals, and we create, courses. And so the deal is, once I reached 70% of the income of what I was currently making in my day job, I would then leave. And sure enough, it got to that point. It was under 6 figures. It was around 80K, 90K. And I walked in and I told my pain in the ass boss, it's costing me too much to be here. I shook his hand and I left, man. And I had that classic feeling of freedom. I remember driving down the freeway. Once I flew back, and I was on the freeway coming back to home, and I was just like, I am never going back to that place again.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had jumped.
Yeah.
And just before
it's funny, bro, because like, I thought it was freedom. I thought like, oh, what I really want is freedom. And yes, to a degree, it's like the next level for most people. But what I realized was, it wasn't just the freedom to go, cool, I can travel, I can do these things. I did that. But then when I traveled, I was like, but wait a minute, I still want to create. And what I realized what I wanted was, I wanted the freedom to create. to create what I love doing rather than feeling
Yes.
chained to something. You know, I didn't want moments of freedom. I wanted to be able to bring more, invite more freedom into my life. So it became part of my lifestyle. That my lifestyle essentially didn't revolve around my business, that my business was able to revolve around my lifestyle itself. And that actually ended up amalgamating and becoming one, where my values are all injected into what I do each day. So I live with more fulfillment. And I want that for everyone, bro. I pray for that for everyone, that people come to know their purpose and they get to fulfill that destiny. But yeah, we got to open our eyes and ears first, you know, and tune in and trust.
100%. And I'm just gonna pay homage to you right now because you know you were a part of my journey, and that was the pivotal moment in my life. Was in Bridge Extreme, the leadership program, and I met you at the back of the room at one stage during that weekend, and we had a conversation about the 10-year vision, which has went on to be. I've literally got your 10-year vision notes out on my desk in the office. Yeah. I've redone it a few times since then. I've accomplished like I only redone it just before Christmas in December, so it's still standing the test of time to me. So again, to pay homage to you for that, and you know, your drive to not only provide or, you know, step into that freedom within yourself and your own life and your own day to day, but providing that inner freedom and structure for me first off, and many other coaches like me, creating that ripple effect that, you know, my clients, their clients, and so on and so forth. So thank you very much for that. And then
you're welcome, bro.
Let's bring it back to from your level of awareness and you know, all the shiny things, and working on all these projects with, you know, some of the biggest and greatest thought leaders of our time today. From that level of awareness and the people you now connect with on I see you connected with a lot of doctors and all those types of people. What are you seeing going on in the world today?
Oh, brother, there's so much going on right now. How do we pin it, right? How do we pin the tail and the donkey? That's the question. And the big $1 million question is like, what's actually happening, right? It's very intricate, and it's been multi-layered for a reason. I think they want to keep us in confusion. And when I say they, this is where it gets super debatable. It's like, who's they? Is it Bill Gates? Is it Mr., you know, Dr. Fraudchi? You know, who is it, right? Is it do we blame a president of a country? Like what is it, right? So I think it's more than anything, if we look at it for what it really, you know, is on the surface, we can see that these countries that we've been a part of, you know, I grew up in Australia, living in Indonesia, lived in America for quite a while. You have a taste of some different cultures, but ultimately I think people want to identify with a place. And I think because I've traveled the world so much, and I noticed this with a lot of people that have entrepreneurial minded, that have traveled quite a bit, they seem to be a bit more awake to what's going on, because they're like, wait a minute, you're not a tree stuck in one place. You get to choose. And we keep being told that we're not allowed, we don't have to choose. We're told that we do get to choose, but we don't, because they're forcing people into a place of pain and suffering if they don't comply. And I see it. And I know that I've worked really hard for my freedom. As we talked about this before, that classic feeling of freedom to create. When someone starts to impede on that, or they try to impede, I'm not going to be too happy about it. You know, and I'm sure you're the same too. So I take a step back and look at the bigger picture and go, all right, what's happening here? Everyone's trying to rope each other into each other's value systems. I get that. That's what we do. Because if everyone's in the same value system as me, it feels really safe to be around everyone. I can trust, because I know that we vibe the same thing. What happens when you got somebody that hasn't been in the practice of living in their values, and so they just essentially adopt belief systems, they comply and just go along with it because they essentially put a priority on safety first. When you're an entrepreneurial minded person, when you're into alternative things, right, taking alternative paths, whatever that may be, you tend to not go with the norm. And the norm seems to be that people are just, you know, getting in line. And I know that there are some people that really feel like they have no choice, and everyone's in a unique situation. Speaking with one of the ladies in my coaching group, and she said no one in the family wanted to take the shot. And the husband came in one day and said, I went and got my shot today, and the family was upset. And he said, I took the bullet because as much as I don't want to take it, he's like, I need to be bringing money in for you guys, for the family. I don't want any of you to get it. I'll be the guy that brings it in. And it was emotional. And whether you're listening right now and you're like, oh, what's the big deal? You know, it's just a show. Like, who knows? You don't even know what's in it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's a big question. We don't know what's in it. That's, you know, your GP doesn't know what's in it. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But if we look at this, it's not just that, it's what it represents. What it represents is I've given in and given over my freedoms. And it's not to be like, you know, like a little brat about it. It legitimately, it's like, how much do you give away until it becomes, oh, well, I've given away this much. I might as well just give away a bit more. And I might as well give away a bit more. I might as well give away. That's what was happening back in Russia. That's what was happening back in Germany. You know, it was happening back before peasants finally turned around and fought kingdoms to be able to get their freedom. And then it happened to escape persecution. It happened in France right before the French Revolution kicked off, and they went around walking with people's head on a stick, and throwing people in guillotines. Like, it's not to be messed with. You know what I mean? People really do value their freedom when they've worked hard for it. So we're in this, unfortunately, splintered society where some people are like, oh, what's the big deal? Just go get it. And they put their so-called safety first. But what happens, bro, is like, I know when I work a lot with the mindset, and what I find is when people are in fear, they operate from a very narrow direction. It's just, I need to find some sort of certainty and safety right now. And to them, it may mean that the certainty seems to be the path of going and getting the shot. That way the government can get off my back, I can get on with my job, I can get paid, I don't have to worry about losing anything. So they get it. And they get their first one. And what happens is the fear center starts to settle. And then they go, oh, well, now I can actually start using critical thinking and think straight. And they go, well, actually, I don't know if I'll get my second. And that's why there was such a really big resistance for the second. And then there's even more resistance for the booster. And there's even more resistance for the fourth. It's like, I'm so far behind, dude. I've got none. So like, what do I do, man? When the fifth one comes out, what do I do? Do I have to keep up? Am I just as well off as someone that's gone to get the fifth when I haven't even had one anyway? It seems like they're not working. Right?
Yeah.
But what it does, bro, is what I'm more concerned about the fact that someone just so easily gave away freedom for so-called safety, even though it was a very unsafe thing to do. So there's like this distortion in reality now. And then not just that, when people go and do it, when they know, like some people were in a corner, I get it. I'm just saying, you know, some people really are backed in. So much respect to you, whatever your decision is, you're on a learning experience as much as we all are. But like when someone goes and does it and they know that it's not in their alignment, they walk away feeling shame and guilt. And I'll tell you what, bro, it's one of the lowest frequencies to sit in the body is shame and guilt. You get to forgive yourself for this. You get to learn from your mistakes. I'm not saying go and carry it around. I don't want anybody carrying it, but we do that. We start to like lower ourselves on a totem pole of our standards because we've just gone and done the thing that goes against our alignment. And I've worked real hard to have my alignment and to stay in it. No one's going to come along with a wrecking ball to throw me out of it. And there are a lot of people on this earth that feel the same way. Some people are more vocal than others. Some people are trying to work out how to communicate it. I get where each person is at. I've just never been one to really back down to injustice, and I value my freedom. And so people like you and I put our freedom before safety. And if that wasn't the case with ancient Rome and Medo Persia and Greece and Babylon and all these massive empires, they wouldn't have built the cities that they did. They wouldn't be protected through their armies and whatever else needed to come, because the people that went out and put freedom first fought for it. We're in a time where we are surrounded by freaking snowflake dudes, and I'm calling them out. They're snowflakes, saying that they're somebody, talking all the talk, but not walking the walk, not showing up. I know there's more women right now that are standing up for this than there are men. I'm seeing it in my inbox and everything. They're getting vocal, man. They're turning into mama bears, lionesses, like it's happening. And I'm looking at dudes like, what happened to you, man? You got emasculated somewhere along the line. You forgot your God-given power. You know, it's so, you know, that's what I'm seeing. Yeah. And it's a spiritual battle too, man, between good and evil. That's definitely playing out. We're seeing it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. There's also on the other side of that coin, there's a mass awakening that happening, and the more they push for control, yeah, it's huge. The more they push for control, the more I see that they haven't got it. The more they push
Yeah.
for control, the more they're losing it, because people are waking up. When you spoke about the fourth shot, the Taoiseach, which is the Prime Minister in Ireland, in April. So I went back through my notes because I've been on this train for the last 2 years, long before my father was in ground. He was there when it happened. He was in China when it first kicked off. So he told me about what happened with the workers that worked there in February of 2020, that they had to go to the hospital, and it was a that country's bank holiday, and they all flew in from around the world, all students, and they tried to cover it up, and then they let them all fly back everywhere else. So he told me that in 2020, like February 2020. So do you know what I mean? And then the same with the
Yeah.
Prime Minister of Ireland, talking about the fourth shot in April in last year, 2021. And now they're only talking about it now. But I seen the red flag straight away. So why is he talking about the fourth, and the second one hasn't even come out yet? You know? So yeah, and then in regards to the snowflakes, uh uh men, women, you don't fuck with the mothers. I don't know if have you seen that song? There's a song, this is the cry of the mothers. It's a bunch of mothers in New Zealand.
No.
I will send you the link. I will send
Oh, I
you the
think I
link.
might have seen it. I think someone might have put a video to it or something like that.
Yeah.
It's true, bro. It's true. It's instinctual within most women that have got some grounding in them, where to be like, hey, this isn't going to happen. They're so connected to the child they're giving birth with. That's typically how it goes. It's not always the case because of trauma and things of that nature. But yeah, man, like there's been a beating on masculinity for decades. Like it's just like
I'm glad.
feminization of men. But I mean, from an energetic perspective, that's what it is. There's a lot of shaming. I think men as well, they haven't been stepping up. It's like, what do we have as a catalyst or a stimulus here to be able to actually get people back into their power? And like you said, there is opportunity, man. There's opportunity this time. I've never had this many people reach out to me and want to know about Jesus. Like, how do I live in the standards of somebody like Christ? Because I'm noticing the good and evil. Like, not necessarily that it needs to be anything about religion, because I don't even believe in that religion is a great vehicle. I think that it's an institution. It's used for power and control and great. I'm about relationship with God, right? And so I look at this, I'm like, man, for the first time, maybe someone's gone, I actually want a better relationship with God. Like, I want to co-create with God, and I want to know about, like, how do I have that without having all the stuff that's man-made that's in the way? And how do I really, connect with my creator, that source who's there with me, that I, as a living being, that I connect with and walk with on this path to live out my true purpose. And it's happening, man. It's happening. I'm seeing it. I've never had this many people reach out that want to go deeper into that. And it's beautiful because, we can do all the personal development, we can build the businesses, we can have the fancy stuff, and we can feel like we have the security. But like, what happens with your soul? What happens with the eternal? So it's a lot of people asking great questions now they weren't asking before. But one of the worst energies I see on the lower end of the scale is living in apathy. Like, something needs to shake us up from time to time. It has to catch us by surprise. Otherwise, we're not going to be awake to it,
100%. And just as you were speaking as well, and speaking of mothers, I just want to commend your mother for standing up for her right and what she believed in, and walking away from how many year career?
Oh yeah, she was in nursing for almost 30 years. My dad has been in nursing for over 40 years. Both of them have lost their job because they didn't get the shot. Both. My brother, he was in service with disabled people, with people with mentally challenged. He's been supporting. He's lost his job too. My family's lost their job. I was already like, fighting a good fight when this was before this even happened. And then when that happened, it came even closer to home. And I just needed to make sure I wasn't in a place of reaction. I was like, okay, this is what's happening. They decided that that's the move that they want to pull, and I get it, and I fully support it. I'm there with them. And I had to look at it from a standpoint of like, how are other people's families feeling too? So it actually got me to be in even more compassion and connection with people that were going through the struggle. I'm out here in Bali, Indonesia. There's a lot of freedom and liberation here, and they're used to corruption, bro. So they're just like, oh, it's corruption. They know. They're just like, oh, we're not playing the game.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, yeah, it's pretty good at it. Like people don't really walk around with masks here. They do, some do.
Yeah.
And the government, I think, is kind of over it too, bro. They're just like, we need the economy to pick back up. Like we know this
Yeah.
stuff is not working. You know, so there's a shift, man. Like you've got one side of the table that says we've got to, you know, be serious about it. And the other side is just like, I just want the island life. I want to be here doing what we're
Yeah.
here to do.
And
But I do see my Aussies, my heart really goes out to you guys. There are definitely times where I feel like, man, I wish I was on the front line right there. I'm doing what I can with my platform, encouraging and inspiring and sharing and supporting. I'm running group coaching programs with thousands of people, and we're going in and I'm diving into how to create and how to carve paths and how to get through the struggle. I've been supporting people in detoxing this crappy metals out of their body from the shots, been bringing in doctors and scientists to show what's in it, to advise us on how to navigate these times. You know, we all get to play our part. You know, just because I play at a certain level doesn't mean you have to play that too. I think if everybody chipped in to a degree, we'd move mountains and oceans, you know?
1,000,000%. And that's a simple fact. It's like, you know, instead of thinking of changing the world on a grander scale, oh, it's too big. You just look at everybody you meet every day. What can you do to impact their day? You mean, let's say you meet 100 people a day, or just is it just by being kind, or you know, offering a smile or a gift, as in a compliment or something, to uplift their vibrancy and you know, help them along with their day. So it's not really that hard. And yeah, I've been on the front lines here as well. We're moving up to Mullumbimby. We're in with Tay and Frankie, but we were supposed to be married in Canggu, and they closed the borders like a few weeks before our wedding. So
It's tough.
yeah,
It's tough. I'm sorry to hear, bro. It's
well,
tough, man.
every cloud has a silver lining, because it helped me I literally severed my construction career, and it
Yeah.
went all in like in 2020 straight away. I
Yeah.
gave it up, and here we are. Here I am today. And then in regards to that, what's going on quickly on the ground in Bali, in regards to, you know, the living, everyone's just free to roam. Um, and what about travelers coming in? Is many of your friends going in
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, man. I wouldn't say absolutely free to run. Like, we don't have lockdown, okay? So we can move about, which is fine. Uh, they have the QR thing if you want to go into like big public areas like malls and
Yeah.
go to the cinemas and things like that. So that's there, which is kind of crazy. Because we know the thing doesn't even freaking work. The shots don't work. It's very evident right now. I just don't know why people keep going along with it. But anyway, yeah, you get these people lined up to see Matrix 4, and they're like they're showing their QRs. It's like, man, you took the freaking blue pill. You're a fan of a film that teaches you not to do it, and you've gone and taken the blue pill. It's crazy. Yeah, but look, the biggest hit would have to be for the locals, bro. My heart goes out to them. You know, where I can, I tip them and give them support, and you know, make sure that they know that like there's hope and all that too. You know, because it has hit them really hard. Just to give you an example, pre this pandemic, the occupancy rate in hotels, because this is their economy is built mostly off hospitality, tourism. 67% was the on average occupancy for hotels across the board. It came all the way down when they were doing lockdowns and everything else. It came all the way down to 2.6%. So you can imagine the hit. It's a massive hit. You know, I don't know what that is, like a 30 times something hit. So, you know, a lot of people lost their job. A lot of them moved back to their village. A lot of people are supporting their families with what they can. Not as many people out in the road. So like those type of things suck, dude. I'm seeing it happen and I'm getting frustrated for them too, because I want to see everybody win. And so everyone's been going through that passage. It's like, what do I do with what I have? You know, resourcefulness is key. They're very resourceful people too. I see them getting out, they're swapping out their careers. Maybe some of them realize the thing they were doing before is not as fulfilling as what they're doing now. Maybe some of them just can't wait to get back to what they were doing. I'm sure that's the case for a good number of people too. But I think, you know, we can look at this time as like, is it going to make us more resilient? You know, there are definitely people that have given up, and it sucks, man. It really, it breaks my heart to see people give up the way that they have. And then I see people that have just learned how to be so resourceful. They're going to come out of here so much stronger than they ever were. I personally have got to that place. I've seen so many of my students and clients turn into absolute superstars that came out of the trenches. at their rock bottom, a year ago or 6 months ago, and they're like doing something like you, like they're going to pivoted, and they're just like, I'm so happy that this is coming to play, So everyone's got their stories, bro. It's important, what kind of story are we telling ourselves?
Yes, and we are the creators of that story. No matter how bad, quote unquote, things get, always relative, but we are still the creator, no matter what the situation is surrounding us. That's all external. And then quickly where are you based, roughly?
I'm in Broward, so next to Canggu.
All right.
Yeah, I'm moving to Canggu in a week.
Oh, brilliant. And yeah, just speaking of, that I seen your post, which I felt was incredible. A few years back, your intentions and goal setting was the Lamborghini lifestyle, and now it's. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to dive a bit deeper into that? Now you're happy going around on a scooter in the villages. Like, I fucking absolutely love Bali. I love Canggu. Yeah.
Well, it comes back to freedom, bro. It comes back to freedom, right?
No helmets, nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to feel the wind in your hair. If you got a shaved head like me, you don't really feel it as much, blowing around as much. But look, man, I had a different view of success. I think success is subjective. My website that I built was called Addicted to Success. And, sometimes people say that's not good. And I ask them, well, we're addicted to all sorts of things. Everything. Everyone's addicted to something. Like what are you addicted to? Like, what are you obsessed with? What's your chief aim? What do you get restless about? What are you passionate about? And it's subjective. So for me, it was, at the time, I looked at a lot of people that were building a lot of things in their life, businesses. They were able to afford, fancy cars, watches, fancy clothes. And I was about that. I was like, that means that you're doing well. So it was like my measuring stick. But I did all that, bro. I did it, man. I've been in Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and I've lived in really incredible places around the world. Like, someone asked me earlier on, like 6 years back, have you bought a house? And I said, well, I move around too much. I haven't made up my mind. It's like, someone's like, have you got a tattoo? I haven't got a tattoo yet. Doesn't mean I won't get a tattoo. I just don't feel like I've locked it in enough to want to put something like that, on my skin. Same thing with the Lamborghini. I got to that point where I was like, I could take a chunk out and get a Lamborghini, but do I want to do that? Is that going to be fulfilling for me? On a scale of 1 to 10, where is that? It was maybe like a 4 or a 5. It used to be a 10.
Yeah.
The awesome thing is, and I want everyone to check in, is like, your values can change. They can change over time. You're not stuck in the mud. You're not a tree that's just sitting in one place with your roots dug so deep. And I like being malleable, man. I like being flexible. I like being able to weave and adapt and do what I need to do. And I let a lot of my compass of what I believe in, my principles around God, being a part of a higher form of creation that we are, man. We're, like you said, we're creators. We're made in his image. He's created us to be able to create. And I look at this as like, there's so much opportunity in this world, and so many of us are playing small. And maybe we're playing small because we're measuring the wrong things. Maybe the external is always the thing that we think that we've got to be measuring our own self-worth off. And I got to a point where I realized that wasn't important. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. Yeah. I like whipping down the freeway with in a nice car that can but it doesn't change much, man. It's temporary. It's fleeting. It's an emotion-based thing. Yeah. And so, the scooter, bro, a scooter can give me way more than a Lamborghini could, from a feeling on the inside experience, personally for me, maybe not for everybody, but for me.
Same.
I'll tell you what, bro, when I park my scooter, I can park anywhere at any time with anyone, and no one bothers me. I don't get tickets to parking in the wrong spot. I can park anywhere. Like, if I don't want to wear a helmet, you should wear a helmet. But if I don't want to wear a helmet, sometimes I feel like I just want to scoot down and not worry about it. Don't have to wear the helmet. You don't get, maybe on some corners out here on main roads they pull you over, but most places you can kind of poke around. And that, to me, that's freedom. It just reminds me of freedom if I want to.
Yeah.
Riding the bike, bro, after a week is $5 of petrol.
Yeah.
I don't know what the gas prices are right now with freaking Biden printing all that money and inflation at an all-time high, but it's going to keep going up. Maybe I'll go up to $7. Maybe next year it'll be $7 a tank a week. I'm cool with that. $1 a day. You know what I mean? So there's just so many levels of freedom, bro. And the thing about Bali is this. I said it the other night. I was hanging out with a bunch of my friends. Emil, who you know, Emil Steamboat. He was
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And like I wore
That
like a shirt I'd
gorgeous
never
man.
worn before. One of these girls that was at our group wore this super bright fluoro orangey type top, and somebody else wore like a leopard print that walked past us. And I was looking around, I'm like, this is great. I'm like, you know, Bali's like one of the only places that I know where you literally can wear whatever the hell you damn want, and no one will even care or say anything. Just like it's all just accepted. And you know, we're riding our scooters around, and pretty much everybody kind of has the same kind of scooter, or you have like a slightly different
The
version, or
Aprilis
someone might get a motorbike, but no one
125.
cares. No one's like, oh, that guy's got a cool motorbike. It's just normal here.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's no like big dick competition. It's just everyone's just doing whatever feels aligned with them. And some places you can't create that. Like Emil and I went to Melbourne, and in Victoria in Australia, before pre all the pandemic and the whole failed government thing that's going on right now. But we went to speak to run an event, bro. We ran an event, and as we're driving along in the car, Emil says to me, he's like, I miss Bali. And he's from Melbourne, but he's like, I miss Bali. And he says, I actually really appreciate it more because I've come back to this place. He's like, I love my family here and that. But he says, look, he says, we're driving in a car, in a box. I can't feel the wind on me. I've just paid, you know, whatever it is, $80 on petrol or whatever. We're cruising along. He's like, we're sticking in between the lines. I'm looking over at this big tall building. Everyone's living in boxes, and they're all in their little box building, and they've got speed limit signs that we're going by, and everyone has to stick to the speed limit. Otherwise you get fined and punished. He's like, it's all just boxes and lines. And then you come to Bali, you could ride on footpaths. You like, there's lines on the road just in case, but everyone's kind of weaving. It's kind of like organized chaos, but it's true, bro. There's this like, it's a different rhythm. You can't mess with Bali's rhythm either. And it taught me a lot about being able to adapt, because when people come to Bali and if they're out of alignment, I see it. Sometimes people will leave the country they're from going, I just need to find myself. I tell people, newsflash, you're here, you're right here. There's no looking, you're right
already,
here.
just look in the mirror.
They escape sometimes their problems, and they're out of alignment, and things start to happen. I mean, it happened to me at one stage when I was out of alignment many, many years back. You know, lost my wallet, or my card got chewed in the machine, and then I lost another card, or, you know, have a scooter accident, a motorbike accident, or someone steals something from you. All these little intricate things that happen moment to moment is because we're not switched on and present enough to the situation. We haven't pre-planned ahead and structured. We haven't been able to keep up with the rhythm. And Bali is a beast, dude. It has its own rhythm. And you can't mess with it. People come over and they think they can just do the life they want. Yeah, you can eventually. You come in it and you find the way to have it, but it's just that type of place where it has its own rhythm and it's unique. And I've found, you know, there's different rhythms in different parts of the world, but Bali's like that in its own way, and it teaches you a lot of lessons, you know. And I tell people, your environment has a 40% effect on your mental state. I didn't like to admit that before. I dug so deep into the study of that because I wanted to think it's all just mind over matter. And to a degree, we do have mind over matter, but 40% effect on your mental state. If you stay in a place long enough, it has that effect on you. There's an energy and a frequency to the room you're in. If I'm not letting enough light coming in, if I don't have enough fresh air, if I don't have what I want here to be able to structure and don't have my whiteboard here, if I don't have my setup, I don't feel inspired, you know? So these things can happen if I'm keeping myself in an environment for more than 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. That whole feng shui thing is actually pretty important when we look at it. So, you know, do you want to live near a cafe? Do you want to go down to the beach? Do you want to be able to go for a surf? Do you want to be able to have access to green juice and have your supplements around? Like, how do you structure your day? And if we're constantly looking at the BS propaganda that's on the, you know, all these channels, even on social media, bro, I tell people, don't get ruled by the robots. Create, don't consume. You know, I don't spend much time looking at other people's content. You could ask me about people in my space. You know, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant. I have no idea what these guys are posting, bro. I'm not looking at most of their stuff. Like, only if it just comes across. I have no idea what these people are up to. I'm just so with my tribe. I'm building my movement. I'm spending time with God. I'm in nature and with my friends, and I'm creating, you know, and this is what I encourage people to do. Like, as much as Bill Gates may trigger you in that, like, throw it out the window, you know, raise awareness to a degree, but also you're not going to control this man's life. You know, we can give it a shot, but like, I'm just like, let's like work out what we can control and what we can't control.
And in a nutshell, that's like, you know, he can't control your life unless you allow him to. So if you concentrate on you, you'll be fine. Bali, speaking of you said about, yeah, you said about, the cafes and that lifestyle and being close to the beach. Bali has the most beautiful, freshest food on the planet. I absolutely
Oh
love.
yeah.
I was in Lombok as well for 2 weeks. I just love Indonesia and oh my God, the fruit
Really,
bowls.
bro.
Are you still,
Yeah.
were you vegan when I met you first?
I had been vegetarian
Preston
for
was
24
vegetarian.
years. Yeah, Preston was. I had been vegetarian for 24 years. So I think when we met, no, it's 22 because we met when I was about 30. This is 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
30, yeah, 30, 31. So ever since I was 8 years old as a vegetarian, but pretty much in the last 3 years, I started eating fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to pay attention. Like, how does it feel? As a matter of fact, I kind of like, I was with someone and we ordered sushi and she's like, try this. And I was like, I gave it a shot. And she's like, be honest, do you like it? I'm like, I actually do. That's actually not that bad. So I started eating more and then I just stuck to it. But I know Tony Robbins brought some seafood into his diet. He wasn't very big on a lot of the other meats when he started going through his healing stage, and I notice, there are benefits obviously to certain meats. I also pay attention to keeping my body in a higher alkaline state, and I do know
Uh-huh.
that certain foods can become very acidic in your body. Meat actually is one of them, and if people don't like hearing that, when you look at like the blood in the meat, there's a toxicity to it as well. It's not meant to be in our body, and so we go through there's trade-offs with a lot of things, and so we just got to look at like, okay, well, how do I feel? Do I feel better energy? Do I feel my immune systems and nervous systems responding to this well? I've become more and more intuitive to, how does it feel when I have this? Like, I cut coffee for a long time because I just didn't like who I was when I was on coffee.
Mm.
But I'm not going around telling everybody don't drink coffee at all. It's messed up. I just like, it didn't really work too well for me. So I need to take breaks. I'll have, a drop of, a glass of alcohol now and then, but I used to be a big drinker, bro. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
like who I am when I'm on it. It's not anything to do with anybody else. It's just my frequency is just off. I don't like the frequency. I'm unproductive. I feel crappy the next day. Like, it's just not, there's way too much cost and a payoff for me. So
Mm.
I just challenge anyone that's listening, just like start paying attention. What's your frequency like? Be real with you. Like, is this impeding on my growth or does
Mm.
this work really well? Cool. Keep optimizing. That's the key.
Yeah, 100%. And the same, I
What about
noticed
you,
that.
bro? Are you veggie? Are you veggie or vegan?
I
What's your
have
what's your
not vegan. I got down to close to vegan, but then I've chicken and fish. I got down to just fish, and then close to vegan, and then I went back to Ireland on holiday, and it was like my favorite food is the curry. It's Chinese, it's curry, so it's like chicken balls and all of that good stuff. So, so
Yeah, you're flexing. You're flexing
yeah,
in and
yeah, I'll
out, man.
flex.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also pay attention to it as well when I feel like which sometimes I can control it, other times I'm just like, nah, fuck it. That that dopamine pleasure, the taste bud pleasure eating,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then feel the pain of it
Yeah.
afterwards. But other times I'll just choose something else. So yeah, I'm looking to get back to, like, right now I'm eating, I'd say 60% organic fruit and veg. And then
Yep.
after that would be chicken and fish with organic fish, or not organic fish, organic chicken, and then whatever we can,
Yeah.
make sure it's wild
Gotcha.
fish. So quickly, what was it like working with Tony Robbins?
Yeah, man, it wasn't long with Tony. So I interviewed him on my podcast. It was
Hmm.
really awesome. I actually listened to it the other day. I think I recorded it maybe 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. I laughed, bro. My voice, I was definitely a higher pitch, overly excited, trying really hard to be in that, like impressiveness with Tony. It was pretty funny. I listened to it. I'm like, oh, if you're not ashamed of who you were, 6 months ago, you're probably not growing fast enough. But no,
Yeah.
like I was like, okay, cool. That's where I was at that point in life. It was interesting to see what I had massive importance on. I think Tony is from what I've experienced in a couple of times we've got to, hang out. He really lives by what he talks about. He seems to be a very great dude. I say seem because you never fully know with anybody, but he
Yeah,
seems to
yeah.
be a guy of integrity. He seems to be really showing up in the way that he does. I had a great actual experience with him him and I are in a movie together,
Yeah.
We Rise Up. And so I was filming for it. And on the day I was filming, we're at this convention center in Denver in Colorado. And what they were doing was they were interviewing. So it's like, you know, it has the visual scenes, and it will go into like a case around like what's happening in the world. And then it will go to a speaker, a thought leader that will share their piece, and it'll go back into like the next topic. And then it will go into a thought leader. It's kind of how they do it, a bit of story here and there. And what they did was they brought in a bunch of thought leaders because there was an event that we're all speaking at. So they went and positioned the studio setup room in one of the rooms where the conference was and filmed a whole bunch of them. I was there. Lisa Nichols was there. Bob Proctor was there.
Oh, yes.
Tony Robbins was there. Dean Graziosi. So there was a bunch of, you know, greats that were there. And I remember, so just before I filmed, it was really interesting because Tony Robbins was right before me, right? So there was Lisa Nichols, then there was Tony Robbins,
no pressure.
And then there was me, and then there was Dean Graziosi. And I said to Lisa, I was in the hallway, and she goes, "You're next." She just recorded. I was in the room watching it, and I'm like, "Yeah," like I'm like, "Oh, you know, I'm getting." She goes, "How are you feeling?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm kind of nervous," and she goes, "Joel," she says, "You are uniquely you." She said, "There is no one like you. There's no Michael Bernard Beckwith can't be you. I can't be you. Tony Robbins can't be you." She said, "You're you. You're Joel from Australia. You've built what you've built. You've had your life experiences." She said, "No one can take that away from you. And that is the gift that you get to share with the world." And I was like, thank you. I needed to hear that. And I just felt this weight of just like, that's right. Like I just get to share what I share in the moment over the half an hour we record, and whatever comes up will come up and is meant to be there. And then I go in, and then Tony Robbins comes in. It was really, really interesting to watch him. And I'm sharing, it's pretty exclusive because I haven't really broken this full story down before like this on a podcast. So Tony comes in, right? And he walks into the room, and he was like, you could see he looked like kind of a little bit draining. He was a little bit uncomfortable. And we went up and we were having a chat with him, and he was sitting down. Then he had his makeup put on, and they're getting the lights ready, and we're having a conversation. And he had come out of an operation literally like 6 hours before, something to do with his shoulder. So he had some shoulder surgery. Obviously you got to go on meds to go under or whatever. And so he'd come out, he's feeling a bit groggy, and he's ready to record. And I could see even him sitting in the chair, like you could just see him like in pain, uncomfortable, where he had to rest his arm, and he's trying to like sit it up and nurse it. And they're like, "All right, let's do it in a minute." And then you could see him just doing his breath work, right? Breathing, getting himself, and you could see him just he's like, getting himself in a state. And he did, and he anchored it in, got himself in a state, and then boom, and he killed it. And, after I was having a chat with him, and I was talking about the coaching industry and things like that. And he was talking about, like, I asked him, well, what's the peak? What would you say the pinnacle is? And he said, financially and building it out as a business. And we talked about impact too, but he was like, look, my thing was like $1 million contracts with clients and taking on like, I think it was like 5 or 6 of them a year. And he commanded like 200 grand per feature at like an event or whatever. So we were talking about business and shop, and he was asking me about what I was doing, my coaching and everything. And then anyway, he's like, look, I got to go, because he had to go speak like half an hour later. They gave me a tag and said, you can go in and watch him if you want. So Tony goes off with his bodyguards, the security, they go off. And then like, half an hour later, he comes out on stage and he's talking. And he says to the room, I almost didn't come here. And he says, I know it sounds kind of messed up. He said, but I just came out of surgery. He said, I'm in pain, a lot of pain. He says that I'm just like, I'm sweating, profusely sweating. And I feel like it keeps trying to take my attention. But he said, I could have backed out and I had the option to, but he said, I decided that who would I be? I wouldn't be a man of my word. And that I got to burn the freaking ships, burn the boats. Yeah. And he showed up. He's just like, these are the days that I get to really live by what I teach. And he did, and he delivered for like 4 hours, man. I saw him, and he walked all his way through it, and it was powerful. And I just remember walking away from that day like, this is going to have an impact on me. And sure enough, man, every couple of years or so, I find myself in this situation. Maybe I felt a little bit sick or something, and I'm getting on an interview or I'm doing something, and I could easily just say, nah, and cancel it out. But if it's super important, I would say I'd follow through, because I remember that lesson from Tony. So that was really cool, man. Yeah, Tony and I had a few other conversations too, which left massive impacts on my life. And
Yeah.
All it did ultimately, bro, is just inspire me to go like, you know, I want to be able to create that, and I will create that impact for other people too in the way that I show up. You know, like we all have our things, man. We all have our flaws. None of us are
Mm-hmm.
perfect. But what I
Mm-hmm.
do know is God has placed meaning on our heart. There's purpose in our life. We're not just here just dancing with our DNA. We're here for a real reason. And when you find out what that is, and you lead with love, and you take the freaking bull by the horns, man, you can have such an incredible impact and experience in this world. It's
Mm.
really awesome.
And that's the jackpot right there, because for me, I just had this conversation this morning with my brother-in-law. I didn't actually know what a purpose was, or you go finding it, until I went to Preston's workshop, and then release or not the bridge experience, the leadership thing where I met you. I didn't.
Yeah.
What sparked and awoken in me was, I just witnessed some of the biggest transformations that I've ever witnessed in my life through, through some of the most hurtful traumas as well. And I
Yeah.
couldn't understand why the world didn't have these tools. So I was like, why are people suffering when this stuff, these tools and this stuff and this wisdom is so easily accessible? So I was trying to figure out a way to tell my friends and my family and everyone. So I was like, you know what? This is what I need to be the bridge here, and bridge this to my
Yep.
people in my community, and be that, cross with spirituality, because coming into alignment with spirituality was huge for me as well. I grew up in an underprivileged flats, um like a corporation type place,
Yeah.
so where
Yeah.
society looked down upon. We were looked down upon
Yeah.
from society, and because we were right in the heart of Dublin, you had all of these people coming in to shopping. It's the main street in Dublin where you go and get your shopping. So we live next to this. It's like, think about Rio de Janeiro in the favelas. On one side you've got
Yeah.
this everything. Now it wouldn't have been. It's definitely not as run down as that, but that's the judgment that we were looked down upon, similar
Yeah.
to that. So
Gotcha.
um
Interesting, bro.
yeah. So, anyways, two more questions. One, we are in talks to have our wedding at this Christmas. So throughout Christmas and New Year's, back in Changu. I won't say the name here actually because it's a surprise, but it's close to not the lawns. What's the beach club called? Fins. It's two
Vince. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it's two across from Fins.
Is
It's
it
an
Morabito?
Oh,
Bargilla?
you got
Morabito.
it. Yes,
Man, it's
yes.
a beautiful place, dude. You got it right there, man, on the grass, overlooking the ocean, the
Mm.
beautiful pool there, and the bar. Yeah, dude, rocking. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Great
yeah, the
place.
art galleries and art
Perfect.
villas. So yeah, hopefully we get there. And then yeah, your vision, quickly just touch on your vision for the future.
Yeah, well, you mentioned some before. You mentioned that you were on a journey looking at finding your purpose after you'd had this conversation, and you went to that workshop, and then you realized that these tools need to be made available to people to be able to work through their traumas and their healing. And I believe that too, man. I'm a big advocate for healing, and it starts with forgiveness, man. It really does. And
Mm-hmm.
people don't realize how hard they are on themselves. They come from lack and scarcity, and they come from a place of fear and shame and guilt, and it's a very tough place to create. So I have addicted to success running for those that want to learn strategies, that want to learn how to's on top of, what they've got going on, but that doesn't necessarily heal the core. It's just
Uh-huh.
adding on. And then we could do some things on the surface, and that's cool. Business and money and that, cool. Awesome. There's also blockages with that if we've got wounds and trauma. And so to take it even layer deeper, what I really found when I really committed to my vision and grew in my vision grew me, I grew in my vision. And I came to a point where I let go of so much of the material and came to find God. You talk about spirituality. It's really important to come to that place to
Mm-hmm.
realize, like, wow, this is bigger than me.
Way bigger.
And what I've found is, like, I'm spending more of my time now creating harmony in my life. It's like, how do I do when I am in the pocket working the most powerful work I get to do? How do I value myself and also powerfully serve so that people get the results? That I can be a man of my word, of integrity, have certainty, influence, and impact. right? But also live where I'm like, I love what I do. And I get to give that awesome energy of what I love, what I do to the world, so they feel the passionate energy of that and be inspired by that. And I call that harmonizing your life. So I'm actually building a new business right now as we speak. It's called All Bliss. How
All
to
bliss.
become awesome and live a blissful life. All
All
Bliss, all one
bliss.
word. Yeah, AWEBLISS. Yeah, we got an app coming, Apple TV, Android TV. We're going big, dude. We're creating this incredible academy, and it's teaching you how to harmonize the 8 areas of your life. And I'm bringing in some of the best teachers, speakers, coaches, authors in the world to come in to partake in this, to teach those that want to come in. It's a monthly thing they get to come into. You know, they just go month by month. There's a contribution element to it as well. It's big time, bro. So faith filled, some spirituality in there as well, when it's like, hey, how do I get into that pocket in my life as well? So you come on this journey and you go at whatever pace you want, but it's going to really teach people how to master their vision. You know, before you're talking about purpose, what I find is I find that actually most people are in their ambition. They're not actually in their purpose.
Uh-huh.
We need to get the ambition out of our system until we get to a point where we're like, all right, now I want the deeper stuff. That's purpose. Ambition
Yes.
was me building a business to make the money to get the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis. Then purpose became, wait a minute, I want to do God's work. I feel most alive when I'm serving others and
Yes.
being there to support others, to heal their wounds and to work through their traumas and to forgive and to love one another. That's God's work. Love one another. Right. Like, so it's so much bigger than us, bro. And I know the energy that comes with that is so much greater than what you could do just by yourself, just to get your own material things. It's so much bigger. You're part of, like I said, the goings on in life, and there's destiny with it. There's more to it that gets to unfold, and we create a ripple effect with that. That's impact, bro. A lot of people are trying to
Yes.
fake it to make it, to look influential. You get to
Nah.
be influential by being certain, and you get to be certain by working through your wounds. So there's stages to this, and I teach all that, and that's where we're heading, bro. So I invite anyone that's ready to step into that resonance to find out how to harmonize their life to come in. Maybe you'll find your purpose sooner than later.
Yeah, 100%. And the importance of, taking back control of our lives, and your life, living a life intentional to yourself, and one that you
Yeah.
control. That's not, somebody can take it away
Amen.
if they want to. So again, just thank you, because, I've got 2 young kids, and this is why I do what I do. So they don't have to go through
Yeah.
the unlearning, and heal all of the traumas that I had to heal, and they get to live grow up
Yeah.
in a free world.
That's amazing, dude. You should be so proud of yourself. That's awesome. That's such a gift you get to give your kids, for sure. I love
Hmm.
that.
Joe, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. Hopefully I'll get to see you at Christmas when we are in Bali in Canggu. I'm going to close out. The closing question is, what does the waves of change mean to you?
Hmm. I see time as a calibration of change. It's also fleeting. This second, it goes by like this, we never get back again. It's gone forever. And it's so precious when we look at it like that. It's scarce. But if we get to learn how to live in abundance in that coming and going of that scarce moment to moment, we get to really
Yes.
condense time. We get to compound our aliveness in that time that we have. And, God plucked us out of the infinite and placed us in the finite, in this special, special point in history. He could have put us in at any point. It's like we could have been in the 1800s. We could
Yeah.
have been right at the start. We could have been in the middle of it all, but we're right here right now for a reason. You are right here right now for a reason. There's meaning on your heart. There's value on your life. There's a stamp on you to say that you're here to do great things. And I just pray that you don't forget that we all go
Hmm.
through tough times. We go through the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, but we wouldn't appreciate the contrast if we weren't able to experience it. So embrace wherever you're at, enjoy the process, and just take hold, grab the reins and let it run, and go where you get to go, and ask God to come into your life and open you up to new ways to do things, better ways to do things, with the wisdom that he has instilled within the universe and within us. And that's what I would say, man. That's my parting advice.
Beautiful, Joel. Thanks again. That's my favorite question because the answers are always this like deep. So, Joel, thank you very
Yeah.
much for your time. We will stay
Thanks
connected,
a
and
million, bro.
I look forward to working with you again.
Yeah. Awesome, brother. Proud of you, man. Thank you for doing the work you do. Appreciate you, bro.
Good luck.
See you,
Thank
mate.
you. Bye bye.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If anything resonated for you, please leave a comment below. If there's anyone who may need to hear, please share. I love yous. Have a lovely day.